After a breakup, everyone around you will give advice. Some will say, go out and party. Others will say, find someone new fast. Some will even tell you to get revenge, to make your ex jealous, to play games. But here's the truth most people don't like to face. None of that shows strength. That only shows weakness covered in noise. Strength is not about trying to prove you are happy to the world. Strength is not about rushing into another relationship just to distract yourself. Real strength is silent. Real strength is calm. Real strength is in the choices you make when nobody is watching. Because let's be honest, when someone breaks up with you, they secretly expect you to lose control. They expect you to text nonstop, to call late at night, to beg for another chance. They expect to see you broken, desperate, chasing. And many men fall into that trap. But here is where real strength separates itself. When you refuse to give them the reaction they expect. When you step back. When you cut them off. When you take all the energy you were giving to them and pour it into yourself. That's when you flip the game. That's when they start to question themselves. The strongest move you can make after a breakup is not revenge. It's not replacement. It's not even pretending to be happy. The strongest move is genuine detachment. It's walking away with dignity, keeping your peace, protecting your focus. It's saying, I will not chase. I will not beg. I will not let this define me. That kind of move is rare. That kind of move makes people realize your value long after you're gone. Here's the wisdom. After a breakup, your silence is louder than your words. Your growth is more powerful than your tears. Your discipline is more attractive than any revenge you could plan. When you stop giving your energy to the past, you open the door to a better future. That is real strength. And when you show these signs, not only do you heal faster, but you also build a life so solid that no breakup can ever shake you again. That is when you truly win. 1. Silence speaks louder than words. After a breakup, the first thing most people do wrong is talk too much. They send long texts, write paragraphs, call repeatedly, and try to explain themselves. They think if they just say the right words, the other person will change their mind. But here's the truth. Words don't change hearts after a breakup. Silence does. Because silence is not empty. Silence is full of meaning. It tells them, I don't need you to validate me. I don't need to fight for a spot in your life. If you walked away, that's your choice, and I respect myself enough not to chase. Think about it. When you stay quiet, you remove their power. They no longer get to see your pain. They don't get the satisfaction of watching you desperate. And this is what shakes them. Because in their mind, they believed you would crumble without them. They thought you would reach out, cry, beg, or try to negotiate. But when all they get is silence, when days turn into weeks and they hear nothing from you, it makes them wonder. It makes them doubt. They start asking themselves, why isn't he reaching out? Did I lose someone stronger than I thought? Was I wrong about his value? That doubt is powerful. But here's where you need to be wise. Silence is not a game you play just to make them regret. It's not a trick. It's discipline. It's about teaching yourself that you don't need external validation to move forward. You don't need closure from them. You create closure by controlling yourself. You train your mind to detach. That's what real strength is. Self-control in the middle of emotional chaos. Of course, silence is not easy. Your emotions will scream at you to pick up the phone, to send that one last message. But you have to ask yourself, does reaching out bring me peace, or does it keep me chained? Every time you choose silence, you are telling yourself, my dignity matters more than their attention. That choice builds strength. That choice builds respect for yourself and eventually from them too. So remember this. After a breakup, your silence is your weapon, not to hurt them, but to heal you, not to make them miss you, but to make yourself stronger. Silence shows that you are in control, and that is the loudest message you could ever send. 2. Focus on yourself, not on them. After a breakup, most people make the mistake of keeping their attention glued to the one who left. They stalk their social media. They ask friends what their ex is doing. They imagine them with someone else, and they waste countless hours replaying memories. That's not strength. That's self-destruction. Because the more you keep your focus on them, the more power you give away. Real strength is when you take all that attention, all that energy, and redirect it back to yourself. That's when the healing begins. That's when the transformation starts. Think about it. What happens when you stop caring about where they are, who they're with, or what they're posting online? You suddenly have more time, more energy, more space in your mind. And when you pour that into your goals, your fitness, your career, your personal growth, you rise. You become sharper, stronger, more attractive, not just to them, but to the world. Because nothing looks more powerful than a person who refuses to sink and instead chooses to grow. Here's the secret most people ignore. Your ex is not watching your words, but they are watching your actions. If they see you falling apart, they feel justified in leaving. If they see you thriving, they begin to question their decision. That's why focusing on yourself is not about revenge. It's about evolution. It's about building a version of you that doesn't need their approval. Because once you realize you don't need them to feel complete, you win the breakup. But let's be real, focusing on yourself doesn't mean you won't feel pain. You will. There will be nights you miss them, moments you want to reach out, memories that sting. But each time you choose to push that energy into improving yourself, you're training your mind to be disciplined. And discipline creates strength. Over time, you will look back and thank yourself for not wasting months or years stuck in the past. So remember this. After a breakup, don't make them the center of your world. Make yourself the center. Invest in your growth. Build your future. When you do that, not only do you heal faster, but you also show the ultimate strength, the strength of self-respect. And that is something no one can take away from you. 3. Cut off contact completely. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a breakup is keeping little doors open. They say things like, "We can still be friends," or "Maybe we'll talk later," or they keep texting on special days, checking in, or responding whenever their ex reaches out. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as kindness. Real strength is cutting off contact completely. Because when you keep communication alive, you're not healing, you're feeding the wound. Every message you send, every reply you give, keeps you chained to someone who already walked away. Understand this clearly. People don't respect what they can still have easily. If you're always available after they left you, you're teaching them that you don't value yourself. But when you cut contact, when you don't call, don't text, don't stalk their life, you're sending a message that speaks louder than words. I'm not an option anymore. I respect myself too much to stay in your shadow. That's the kind of move that shocks them, because most people expect weakness. Most expect you to hang around. But when you disappear, that's when they feel your absence the hardest. Now, cutting off contact isn't easy. Your emotions will tempt you. You'll tell yourself just one text won't hurt, or I'll just check their profile once. But every small action reopens the wound. You must discipline yourself. Block them if you have to. Delete the chats. Remove the pictures. Not out of hate, but out of respect for your peace. Because real strength is choosing what protects your mental health, not what feeds your loneliness. And here's the powerful part. When you cut contact, you don't just make them wonder about you. You give yourself room to grow. You stop waiting for a message. You stop living in false hope. You finally start focusing on the only person that truly matters now, yourself. That's where healing begins. That's where strength is built. So never mistake contact for closure. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from your decision to move on. And the boldest, strongest move after a breakup is to go completely no contact. No explanations, no chasing, no looking back, just silence, distance, and growth. That's how you show strength. Level up your life. After a breakup, most people sit in the same place, doing the same things, stuck in the same habits. They think about what was lost instead of building what can be gained. That's why they stay broken for months, sometimes years. But real strength shows when you use the breakup as fuel to level up your life. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you flip the question into, "What can I do now to become better than I was yesterday?" That shift in mindset is where your power begins. Leveling up doesn't mean showing off or trying to make your ex jealous. It means genuinely improving your life because you deserve it. Go hit the gym, not to prove anything to them, but to build discipline, confidence, and energy for yourself. Focus on your career, your studies, your money. Upgrade your skills, start new habits, surround yourself with better people. Every small improvement you make adds up, and soon you'll realize you've built a version of yourself that your past self would admire. Here's the truth. The greatest revenge after a breakup is not getting them back, not making them jealous. It's living so well that they no longer fit into the life you're creating. That's the ultimate win. Because while they're expecting you to stay stuck, you're outgrowing the version of you they once knew. And when they eventually look back, they won't recognize you, not because you changed for them, but because you upgraded for yourself. But let's be real. Leveling up is not about rushing. It's about consistency. You won't see results in one day, but over weeks and months, your growth will become undeniable. And that growth gives you a kind of strength no one can take away. You'll stop caring about whether they regret leaving because you'll be too busy building a life so fulfilling that their opinion no longer matters. So remember this. After a breakup, don't sit around waiting, don't waste energy hoping, and don't get stuck replaying the past. Take that pain, that energy, and turn it into fuel. Build your body, build your mind, build your future. That's real strength. And when you level up your life, you don't just heal, you rise. Control your emotions. Don't let them control you. After a breakup, emotions run wild. One moment you're angry, the next you're sad, then you're hopeful, then you're broken again. It feels like a storm you can't escape. And this is where most people lose. They let emotions take the wheel. They text in desperation. They call in anger. They beg in sadness. Every action becomes a reaction to how they feel in the moment. That's not strength, that's weakness. Real strength shows when you control your emotions instead of letting them control you. Think about it. When your ex left, they probably expected you to fall apart, to act out of desperation. But imagine the shock when you stay calm, composed, steady. That calmness is power. It shows maturity. It shows you're not a slave to your feelings. And the truth is, emotions are temporary waves. They come and go. But the damage caused by reacting to them can last forever. One message sent in weakness can undo all the dignity you were holding on to. That's why emotional control is the foundation of real strength. Of course, this doesn't mean you won't feel pain. You will. But feeling is not the problem. Reacting without discipline is. Strong people acknowledge the pain, but don't let it dictate their actions. They sit with the emotion, breathe through it, and choose to respond with self-respect. That choice separates the weak from the strong. Here's the wisdom. When you master your emotions, you master the breakup. Because nothing confuses and shakes someone more than seeing you calm when they expected chaos. They expect tears. You give them silence. They expect drama. You give them peace. They expect weakness. You show discipline. That's how you flip the power dynamic without saying a single word. But beyond your ex, this emotional control is for you. It makes you stronger in every part of life. It makes you sharper at work, calmer in conflicts, and wiser in decisions. The strength you build by mastering emotions after a breakup will carry with you for the rest of your life. So remember this. Strength is not pretending you don't feel. It's choosing not to be ruled by what you feel. After a breakup, the most powerful move you can make is to stay calm, stay controlled, and stay disciplined. That's how you prove you own yourself. 6. Don't rush into rebounds. After a breakup, one of the most common mistakes people make is running straight into someone else's arms. They think finding a new partner quickly will heal the pain or prove they've moved on. But here's the truth. Rebound relationships don't heal you. They hide your wounds. They don't build strength. They delay growth. Because if you can't be happy alone, you'll never be truly happy with someone else. Real strength is when you resist the urge to jump into something new just to fill the emptiness. Think about it. If you start a rebound, what message are you sending? You're basically saying, I can't survive on my own. I need someone, anyone, to make me feel okay again. That's not power. That's dependence. And dependence is weakness. But when you choose to stand on your own 2 feet, to face the loneliness head on, to build yourself without leaning on a temporary distraction, that's where true strength is born. Rebounds might give you short-term comfort, but they rob you of long-term growth. They stop you from doing the real work of healing, reflecting, and improving. And here's the reality. If you rush into a new relationship before fixing the old wounds, you carry the same problems forward. The cycle repeats, and you end up stuck in the same patterns again and again. Strong people don't repeat cycles. They break them. Now, this doesn't mean you should shut yourself off forever. Love again when you're ready, when you're whole, when you're in control of yourself. But never use someone as a bandage for your pain. Respect yourself enough to heal fully first. That way, when you choose someone new, it's not out of need, it's out of strength, clarity, and genuine connection. And here's the most powerful part. When you don't rush into rebounds, your ex will notice. They'll see you're not desperate to replace them. They'll realize you're confident enough to walk alone. That's a move most people can't make, and it speaks volumes. So remember this. After a breakup, don't fall into the trap of quick fixes. Don't chase new people to avoid old pain. Sit with yourself, grow with yourself, and rise by yourself. That's how you prove real strength, by showing you don't need anyone to complete you. 7. Move forward without looking back. The hardest part of a breakup isn't losing the person. It's letting go of the story you told yourself about the future. You imagined a life together, made plans, dreamed about forever. And when it all ends, your mind keeps dragging you back. You replay the good memories. You wonder what could have been. You question if you made mistakes, and you secretly hope they'll return. But here's the truth. Strength after a breakup means you don't live in the past. You move forward without looking back. Most people waste years trapped in what-ifs. They check their ex's profile, they stalk, they fantasize about reunions, and in doing so, they pause their own life. That's weakness, allowing the past to control your present. Real strength is in acceptance. It's saying, that chapter is over. It taught me what I needed. Now I turn the page. Moving forward is not about forgetting. It's about refusing to stay stuck in something that no longer exists. Think of it this way. If you're always looking back at a closed door, you'll never notice the new doors opening in front of you. The world is full of opportunities, growth, and people who might value you more than your ex ever did. But you'll never see them if you're chained to yesterday. Strength means facing forward, walking into the unknown, and trusting yourself to build something better. Of course, moving on doesn't mean you won't think of them sometimes. That's natural. But the difference is in your actions. Do you let those thoughts control you, or do you keep moving anyway? Strong people feel the memories, but they don't live in them. They use the lessons and keep growing. And here's the powerful part. When you truly move on, you set yourself free. You're no longer waiting for a call, no longer tied to their choices, no longer letting your worth be measured by whether they regret leaving. You're free to live fully, to love again, and to rise higher than before. That freedom is the ultimate sign of strength. So remember this. Don't keep walking back to the past, hoping it will change. It won't. Strength is in moving forward without hesitation. Because the moment you stop looking back, the future finally opens up. Conclusion. Strength is shown in how you rise, not how you break. At the end of the day, a breakup is not what defines you. What defines you is the way you respond to it. Anyone can cry, beg, or collapse after heartbreak. That's easy. But it takes real discipline, real courage, and real self-respect to stand tall, to remain calm, and to use the pain as fuel to become stronger. That's what separates those who stay stuck from those who grow. Breakups don't destroy you. They reveal you. They show whether you are controlled by emotions or whether you have the strength to master them. Strength after a breakup is not about proving your worth to the person who left. It's about proving your worth to yourself. It's not about making them regret. It's about making yourself proud. Silence, focus, no contact, self-growth, emotional control, rejecting rebounds, and moving forward without looking back. These are not just steps to heal. They are signs of maturity. They show the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are not a prisoner of the past. You are the kind of person who can lose someone and still not lose yourself. And here's the deeper truth. When you handle a breakup with strength, life rewards you. You gain clarity. You attract better opportunities. You rebuild your confidence. You grow into a version of yourself that is far more powerful than the one who entered the relationship. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes the very fire that forged your resilience. That's why strength is not just about surviving the breakup. It's about using it as a turning point to rise higher. So if you're wondering which move shows you have real strength after a breakup, here's the answer. It's not in chasing, not in begging, not in pretending. It's in silence, self-focus, detachment, and growth. It's in choosing peace over chaos, discipline over weakness, and dignity over desperation. That is the path of true strength. And remember this, when you take this path, you don't just win the breakup. You win yourself back. You reclaim your power, and that is something no one can ever take away from you again. Because real strength is not shown in how you break, it's shown in how you rise.